Brodes Media.
Our owner, who, remember, was buying a yacht, right? And he was hanging out nowhere near Philadelphia. Why do you think that was? Because Jeffrey Lurie anticipated at 10-1 that he could have some vacation time because they would have a bye week, and instead they have to convince the entire city of Philadelphia why Nick Sirianni deserves to keep his job. Oh my God! Think about the difference in mentality. It's unbelievable. And Jeff McLean is reporting that Howie Roseman really isn't as involved in regards to the relationship between Sirianni and the franchise. Sirianni will directly report to Jeffrey Lurie. So I didn't know if that was outside of the norm. I didn't know if that's what a lot of teams do. So I asked around, and what I was told was that it's always been this way with Lurie. Every single Eagles coach directly went to Lurie, and every franchise has their own style of doing it. And okay, look, is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. But is it possible that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman communicate? Howie Roseman then waddles down the hallway. Here he is waddling. Hey, Nick, I got some insight for you. Listen to me. Look, I know Lurie. I know Jeffrey. We've been working together for a long-ass time. This is what I'm going to tell you. I'll give you a few pointers. This is how you should approach it. But in reality, Jeffrey's the one telling Howie what to tell Nick so that Nick could go into that little meeting and say exactly what Jeffrey Lurie wants to hear. And by the way, I'm starting to think it went a little something like this, right? Because we expected maybe a PowerPoint presentation where Sirianni would sell his greatness, but I'm starting to wonder, was it more along these lines? Hey, I'm going to just strip myself. Well, not like that, but strip my duties, okay? Whatever you want, I'm yours. Whatever you want to do moving forward at OC, whatever you want to do moving forward at DC, let's do it. And that was the selling point. All because Howie and Lurie spoke. Howie went to Nick and told him what to do. Now look at this conspiracy theory I'm coming up with. This is what happens when your team is a disaster. You know what I want to talk about? How we should be hosting the 49ers. How we should be hosting the Detroit Lions. How we should be kicking ass and going to the Super Bowl. Now I'm trying to figure out when Jeffrey Lurie, when he went and put together his vacation time, and who's whispering down the lane at the top of the front office and then relaying the message to the head coach. This isn't the crap I signed up for. I want to talk about sports. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about winning football games. But instead, they force my hand. It's very unfortunate. I've been asked this question a bunch. Brodes, who do you want for offensive coordinator? And I didn't know for a little bit of time now. I've been trying to process what's the best way to do this when Nick Sirianni is essentially a nobody, because that's what he is. He's a nobody. And the fact that you stripped him down when you're trying to build him up because the locker room doesn't have respect for him anymore, it doesn't seem like it's the best way to approach this, right? Because think of it from this front. They did exactly what you wanted. They're making this a new offense. They're bringing in a mind that will control the show, and then Sirianni, all he has to do is manage on the sidelines. What do you mean, all he has to do? Because that was a horrendous display of coaching in game. That was brutal management all season long. Timeouts used when they shouldn't be used. confused. Now you're blowing opportunities at the end of the first half or at the end of the game because you're not prepared. The game plans were whack. You were getting out coached before the game even started because during the week you were terrible. Stop it. What do you mean? Some fourth down decisions that I think made me sick. Punting on 4th and 2s, 4th and 3s that I would elect to go for it, but your offense stinks so bad that there's zero confidence in it. The list goes on and on and on. This is why I'm angry. Because nobody has respect for Nick Sirianni, the football coach, in that locker room. I don't care what's said publicly. I watched the team play. What the team does during those 4 quarters is way more important to me than what Fletcher Cox or Jason Kelce says 3 days after the season's over when they're prepared for these questions and they're going to take a very high professional road. And the reason why it doesn't tickle my fancy that we're dealing with a good old overhaul and a big-time rebuild from an offensive standpoint is because the idea was Nick Sirianni was going to fix this. That's why you bring him back. If he's not part of the solution, then he has no reason to be here other than Jeffrey Lurie doesn't want to look like a knee-jerk reaction owner, and how bad would the public perception be if he's just running coaches out of town every 3 years? So the reason why you bring him back is because you feel he's part of the solution. But did that rise his stock? Did that press conference make Nick Sirianni look more like a man? The idea was to make Nick Sirianni look great and tell the fans why he's great. Instead, he's so dysfunctional. We're removing him from his duties, but keeping him as the head coach. And I'm not against having a head coach that doesn't call plays. That's not what it's about. Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, people are rolling through a lot of the coaches that are left and a lot of the coaches that take this route. And it's not about that. First off, in this era of football, you can do it. It's beneficial. It has its benefits. When everyone is actually able to do their respected jobs. I don't know if Nick Sirianni can handle this job, even as the Mr. CEO. It doesn't fit him. He doesn't have the respect. So the he did it before thing, he never lost respect. When you lose respect, you don't get it back. I mean, you can do this with a lot in life. Whether they gain some respect back, there's always something in the back of your head. Think about it. In your own personal life, there's probably somebody that it's a little different, but let's change the word respect to you accepted their apology. They did something in your life that deep down to your core, it ripped you into shreds and it destroyed you. But whether it's family, whether it's someone who's super close to you, you knew for the long run that it would probably be better just to put it to the side, say you're willing to move forward, but every time you see that motherfucker, it's all you think about. You're disgraced. How could you do that to me? But for the better, you kind of just put it away. You don't forget, though. You know it's part of who they are, and you know it's disgusting. Welcome Nick Sirianni walking into the locker room with a lot of those guys who have been there with him for a few years now. It got stale. And that's what we're witnessing right now is a stale Nick Sirianni vision. It's a stale Nick Sirianni message. And unless he walks in with a whole new brand new thought process, but he's not. He already said, I'm not changing my core values. You should think about it.